Okay, I'll they just asked me. Okay, thank you.
Rice. I'm joined today on our bima by our wonderful music director, Mrs. Silver, Sam Levine on flute, Jerry Kimbrough on guitar, Connie Ellisor on violin, and John Mock also on guitar. And we are here this morning because of Teri Simon, Chronavi Rachad. Eshet Chayil mi yimsa, v'rachok mipnim mikra. A woman of valor, an accomplished woman. Her value far beyond pearls. She invests herself with strength, reaches out to those in need, robed in strength and dignity. She smiles towards the future. Give her credit for all that she accomplished, the fruits of her labor, and let her achievements greet her at the gates. I'm not sure I ever saw Teri Simon wear a pair of pearls. Indeed, her worth extends far beyond them. But there were most definitely pearls of beauty in her life. Taylor, Emily, Joey. You know that you had one of the greatest moms ever. And she felt even more that she was the luckiest mother on the planet. She told me over and over. Not in a bragging sort of way, just very matter-of-factly. We're here today because your mom was someone so unbelievably special to not just this Micah community, but to the whole Nashville community. And so we're here to honor her life. We're here to celebrate her spirit and to offer gratitude for the very simple gift of knowing her. There were so many things, so many pearls that made Teri Simon special. And you'll hear from more than just me what those are today. The Hebrew word for funeral is levaya, which means to accompany. It's a mitzvah to accompany a person who is preparing to leave this world. Most often dying is a solitary act, but not for Teri. Through everything she was and all that she did, she had concentric circles of friends and colleagues and admirers who walked with her, accompanying her, whether physically or spiritually, escorting her to the place she is today. Her humanity was so instructive to many of us. You know, she taught that curing is not always possible, but caring is always possible. She had an ability to accept changes in her life in such a graceful way, not with clenched fists, but with open palms. Teri knew in her core what is often hard for us to realize, and that which Judaism would have us learn, that in truth no one ever dies alone because there's God. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. As a teacher, as a friend, as a mentor, as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, Teri brought hope to everyone. Even through her courageous battle with illness, with cancer, she still walked through life with her head higher than most, daily determined to make this world a little lighter and a little more joyful. If you go to her book, Flying Elephant, she writes this about herself. Still, with modifications, I lead a relatively normal life and go about most of my days with gratitude and hope. That's Teri. Emily, your words to your mom on her blog. You talk about how those first graders and how they now have the greatest mom in the world. I can think of no better person to stand at those gates with those kids in a single file line, probably singing some song to them, reading a story. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense to me this week. This prayer is called Kayla's prayer, but today it's called Teri's. Listen to my voice, O Lord our God, and God of my ancestors. I lie here on the brink of life, seeking peace, seeking comfort, seeking you. To you, O Lord, I call, and to you, O Lord, I make my supplication. Do not ignore my plea. Let your mercy flow over me like waters. Let the record of my life be a bond between us. Listen to my voice when I call. Be gracious to me and answer. I've tried, God, to help you complete creation. I have carried your yoke my whole life, and I've tried to do my best. Count my effort for the good of my soul. Forgive me for when I have stumbled on your path. I can do no more, so let my family carry on after me. Let others carry on after me. Protector of the helpless, healer of the brokenhearted, protect my beloved family with whose soul my own soul will forever be bound. Their hearts depended upon mine. Heal their hearts when they come to depend on you. Let my soul rest forever under the wings of your presence. Grant me a share in the world to come. I've tried to love you with all my heart and with all my soul, and even though you have come to take my soul, even though I don't know why you came, even if I disagree with how you've taken me, for your sake, I will still say, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai alone, Adonai is with me, I shall not fear. As Rabbi Lori said, I'm Lisa, and known to some of you as Teri's BFF. And I stand before you with specific instructions from Teri. And I quote, she told me, somebody better say, this sucks. So, I guess that would be me. Because I was not about to ignore Teri's instructions. So, indeed, the reason for this gathering totally sucks. We all know that. But what does not suck is to see so many of Teri's loved ones, her family, her wonderfully devoted brother and sister, and of course her kids and all of her extended family. And beyond that, so many friends, so many co-workers, Gilda's Club friends, Micah congregants, students, so many people whose lives have been touched by Teri. You know, one day we were sitting around talking about this day, and she said, do you think anybody's going to come? Yes, I think so. But I'd like to speak about a few aspects of Teri, some that Rabbi Lori has already mentioned, but the ways that she has touched my life, and they overlap. First and foremost, Teri the mother. With all due respect to the excellent mothers here, and I see many, Teri is the most excellent mother that I know. Wonderful and wise, and being witty helped too. The proof, of course, is sitting right here in front of me. Her three, as she always called them, excellent young adult children, Emily, Taylor, and Joey. And as we have heard in many conversations with Teri and read in her blogs and books, Teri is so proud of you, proud of all of your accomplishments, but not just your accomplishments, proud of your character. She told that to me so many times. And that speaks to what she always called intentional parenting. I know that you've heard that. And I have no doubt that through her guidance and love, she'll live on through you, l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation. And when you're wondering how to handle a situation, and I'm sure you've already thought of this,
Ask yourselves or each other, what would Mom do? Because I know I've asked her for plenty of advice, and I will continue to do so. And that leads me to Teri the friend. Honest and generous. Honest with her advice, honest with her opinions, which made for many hours of interesting conversations because she was not shy with sharing her opinions. Generous with her time, and she always was willing to listen, and her training as a social worker made her a great listener. She was generous in so many ways, large and small. Small things like always sending the most beautifully written thank you notes, which I told her is such a lost art, and she was single-handedly keeping it going. Or carrying an extra umbrella with her to give away in case somebody needed one. Or giving thoughtful gifts for no particular reason. Like when I commented that I didn't particularly like to cook and I never knew what to cook and didn't have any good cooking ideas, so she bought me copies of her 2 favorite cookbooks, which now are my 2 favorites, which I occasionally use. Or the time she went with me to get my hair cut, and when I went to pay for it, she had already paid for it behind my back. And if I said, well, thank you so much, but you didn't need to do that, well, she'd say this, and I'm sure some of you have heard her say this, don't block my blessing. Which meant, stay out of my way, I'm going to do this for you whether you like it or not. Because it made Teri happy to be generous and to help other people in whatever small or large way that she could. Our friendship began as acquaintances when our girls were in the same preschool about 18 years ago. But I really got to know Teri when my friend Wendy Spira roped me in to join Micah, which I'm very glad for, and create a kids choir with her. Dan Nichols, who was Micah's cantorial soloist at the time, suggested a 3rd co-leader, Teri Simon. And what a perfect suggestion. Teri was very musical. She had been the first chair flute player in her high school band. She had a lovely high singing voice, which, according to her sister Tammy, surprised the heck out of her family when they first heard her sing solo in a production of Hair. She played piano, and she taught piano lessons for many years. She had experience teaching preschool music, and she was tons of fun with kids. And we had a great time with the Micah Kids Choir. And I see several alumni here today, and I'm happy to say that her legacy lives on with a new young batch of Micah Kids Choir members. And this is where Teri the friend overlaps with Teri the songwriter. Teri moved here in the 80s after graduating from Tulane to be part of the music business. And although she did mostly administrative work, she certainly had the talent to be a Nashville songwriter. Some of you were lucky enough to hear her song, I Wish I Was a Drinking Woman. Maybe we'll get that on the Nashville show one of these days. She used her writing talents to write or co-write many songs for the Micah Kids Choir and several settings of liturgical pieces that have become favorites here at Micah. Silly songs like Hawaiian Hanukkah and beautiful gems like Hashki Venu and I Am a Light. We had the best of co-writing partnerships. And while I am sad for the songs that we have not yet written, I'm grateful for and proud of the songs that we did write together. Almost a year ago, when our beloved congregant Julian Cantor passed away, Teri was inspired to write a song for him and asked me to write some of it with her. And I felt then, as I do now, that it was a song for Teri as well, and I will attempt to sing it for you.
If I've touched your life, I hope it was with laughter, or with a song, or maybe just a smile. Maybe something that I said rattled round in your head, and you saw the world through my eyes for a while. If I touched your life, I hope it was with meaning, and my presence here brightened all your days. A friendship grown from seed, or perhaps I met some need. I hope I touched your life in special ways. If I've made a difference while I was here, sometimes it's so hard to tell, and even harder still to let
I'd like to invite a very special person forward, very special to Teri and her family as well, Dr. Leora Horn.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Leora Horn, and I was Teri's medical oncologist. And her family asked me to speak today. People often say to me, how do you do what you do? And my answer is always, how do my patients and my families and their families do what they do? And I do it because of people like Teri. All of you in this room know what a remarkable friend, mother, sister, daughter, teacher, and colleague Teri was. I can also tell you that she was a remarkable patient. Teri always came to clinic prepared. She had her family. She was well versed about her disease, her treatment options. And Teri always had her plan and just wanted to see how well my plan met. Thomas Edison once said, "I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that just don't work."
Yeah.
During the course of her disease, she participated in several clinical trials, some of which were successful, and the first one she decided she was going to be the poster trial. Teri saw these trials not only as an opportunity to help herself, but as a way to help others. Even when her treatments were no longer working, Teri continued to help others by donating her tissue to our lung cancer research program. Teri also became a remarkable patient advocate. She became involved with foundations such as the National Lung Cancer Partnership and Longevity. She rallied at the state level to raise awareness about lung cancer, and on more than one occasion, she came to Vanderbilt's Bend to speak about a patient's perspective. She even took the time to come one day at lunch and talk to our residents about her journey through what she described as the land of lung junk. Maya Angelou said, "A bird doesn't sing because it has an answer, it sings because it has a song." Teri's blogs were her song. Now, many of you have read her blogs, and I always look forward to her blogs, sometimes to know how Teri was feeling, and sometimes to find out about side effects she neglected to mention to me. With her books, she has left a legacy, not only for lung cancer patients, but anyone with a cancer diagnosis who can look to hope and inspiration and to remember Teri.
Teri always ended every blog, every week, with a prayer or for everyone else. In the Jewish tradition, we have a prayer for the healing of spirit or mind or body, and I know that she would be wishing this prayer for us right now. So she wrote a special setting of this prayer. Some of you have the appropriate handouts. We ran out, but if you'd like to share, the words are answered. And feel free to sing along with me if you'd like.
For the hurt of body and the soul, for the suffering and pain, as you heal the ones who came before you, may you heal us just the same. Refuah nefesh ve'hagu elna refana. May you heal us just the same.
invite to our bima. She is quite incredible in our community. I'd like to ask Fce Alinsky if she'll come.
So I was blessed to know Teri in about 100 million ways for about 100 million years. I want to share some of those memories with you and some of the connections that we had. She was one of the most incredible people that I've ever crossed paths with. She was the consummate social worker. She was very proud of being a social worker. And social workers are compassionate, resourceful, educators, and advocates. And Teri was all of that. One of my first encounters with Teri, which I like to call my squirrel story, is she was interning at Gilda's Club Nashville back in the day when she was a student, and I'm the program director there. And she was very pregnant with Emily. And on her way to the clubhouse, she ran over a squirrel. Now, she was devastated, like in all capital letters, like rolling on the floor, bawling her eyes out. I thought maybe her house had burned down. She hit a rodent. I mean, she killed a squirrel. And that was one of my first glimpses into what I consider a somewhat nutty, deeply feeling person who values the sanctity of all life, whether animal, vegetable, or mineral. Teri was a consummate teacher, whether turning prayer into song, teaching religious school, creating a workshop to help empower other people who were living with cancer, helping guide them through the journey with skills and lessons learned, or, as Dr. Horn said, taking time out of her day to talk to rising medical school students so that they could become even more healing physicians. Teri had this incredible characteristic of always thinking outside of herself. She had a daily practice of reading the obituaries and praying for every person that she read about. She would want me to thank a lot of people who touched her very deeply. First and foremost, her incredible medical team, led by Dr. Horn, but team being from the receptionist all the way through. To her Monday night Gilda's Club group, which takes up a whole section of this congregation. She wanted me to thank you for the laughter and the tears, and even more laughter, as we all learned together how to love each other while living with cancer. To Tammy for your gentle, sweet care of your sister, and to our hero, Bunk. Bunky was at every scan, at every result appointment, every new treatment, and by her side through these last grueling weeks in the most loving, incredible way. And Lisa, her best friend forever and ever and ever, pancake pantry buddy, who was by her side no matter what. And of course, her 3 amazing children. I know you know how much your mom loves each and every one of you, and how proud she is as a human being that you have become. You are her gift to the universe. She celebrated your accomplishments and commiserated when things were crappy, and she spoke about you often and wants you to just go full speed ahead and pursue your passions and your dreams. She wanted to make sure you know that she believes in you. And she is constantly astounded by how loving, compassionate, loyal, funny, and smart you guys are. Fierce and feisty. She would be mad at me if I didn't take a moment to mention that we all have lungs, meaning we all can get lung cancer, and that it doesn't matter whether you've ever smoked or not. very passionate about getting rid of the stigma connected to lung cancer. One of the most significant things to me about Teri that I will carry as her legacy is how incredibly tuned in to other people she was. How many of us have exterminators in our lives texting us to see how we're doing? She reached out and knew everyone who crossed her path. She knew who they were, what they were aspiring to. Not long ago when Lisa and I were with Teri and she was getting her infusion, one of the texts came in. And she started asking, the text, well, so where are you in your schooling? And are you going to go ahead and take that last exam? And then with very little breath, she held onto her hand and she said, I believe in you. You can do this. And that was Teri's gift. Every human soul was special, and she made people feel incredibly worthwhile and valuable and special. And I will hold that as a legacy and try to recreate that in my life as a way to continue to help Teri live on. And I invite you to do the same. I will miss you very much, my sweet friend. And I'm grateful for what you've taught me and the laughs that we've shared.
next speaker is someone very important to us here at Micah, and someone who I think both taught and mentored and was taught and mentored, Julie Greenberg.
to talk about Teri the teacher more than anything else today. And as a consummate teacher, she would know that at this point in the lesson, people were getting a little stir crazy. So I'm going to invite you all to stand, please, and we're going to read this brief honor to all teachers, written by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. Everything depends on the person who stands in front of the classroom. He is either a witness or a stranger. To guide a pupil into the promised land, he must have been there himself. What we need more than anything else is not textbooks, but text people. It is the personality of the teacher, which is the text that the pupils read, the text they will never forget. Now I invite all of you who are actually students of Teri in her classroom, either here or elsewhere, to remain standing while the rest of you have a seat. Just for a minute. Because in our tradition we teach that we stand on the shoulders of our teachers. So Teri, I wanted you to see all of these fine people who are standing on your shoulders. Thank you. It's my humble and sincere privilege to share a few memories of Teri the teacher before Lung Junk factored into the larger lesson plan of her life. At its best, teaching is a fusion of art and science. And you can ask any of her students here. She had that art part down. Really, really good at that. And as both her colleague and her student as well, I was very appreciative of her skill as a scientist in and beyond the classroom. She was always reflective in her practice. She would dismiss things that didn't work and constantly seek and find delight in new ideas to try. And what made her best as both that artist and that scientist, thus a master teacher, as we say, were two of her finest qualities. Her collaborative spirit, which is adult code for playfulness, and her ability to be truly present. Seriously, some and maybe many of us forget how to play. We forget how to give and take and make a few things up as we go along, but not Teri. And many of us are simply not willing or able to embrace the present moment. But Teri took every moment, each heavy with its challenges and potential, each with its beauty and its flaws. And she was able to live in those tensions, to listen and look carefully, and to offer herself up in whatever way seemed most helpful. Those two qualities made her a particularly poignant teacher of Torah. Both our tradition's ancient, complicated, and compelling story, and each of our own personal Torahs, our lives and hers. Torah teaches us the value of community, which she always helped to build and support. And it also teaches us about the importance of every individual's story. So for many wonderful years, Sundays were bookended by Teri for me. Each Sunday morning, I found her wheeling around the corner into the front office with a bag with a couple dozen Krispy Kreme donuts. And so the students all know there are Krispy Kreme donuts at the reception for you today. She also had a meticulously written lesson plan that she placed in my mailbox, and then another tote bag in her other hand. Fast forward to the day's end, it was my tradition to take all of those lesson plans home with me and review them once I tucked myself into bed. A few years into our friendship, I confessed to Teri that I always saved her lesson plan for last, because I knew it would be thought-provoking and would serve as my own spiritual bedtime story. So in between those physical touch points of that lesson plan each Sunday, there were other unexpected items that she would pull inevitably out of that tote bag. Maybe it was a tape of Mulan as she was preparing to teach the Amidah, specifically Avot Ve'imahot, why it was important in a Disney movie, these themes of family and adding women to the story. Perhaps it was a DVD of A Bug's Life, when she was going to teach about the Exodus, complete with its themes of slavery and exile and redemption. So that you know, and if you're not familiar with our congregation, I invite you to walk down the religious school hallway. We have a mural, and one semester Teri was teaching an elective course for our older students in the Exodus, and they painted their story on the wall. Quite possibly it was a CD of the Black Eyed Peas or James Taylor, complete with a handout of the lyrics as well, since she knew all about visual and auditory learners. And she also understood the kinesthetic learner, as well as the pedagogic principle of sneaking up on students and teaching them something when they least expected it. So class would always start with a game, be it Monster Dominoes or Jenga or 52-card pickup. And she was teaching Bereshit, how to put and bring order out of chaos. Sometimes the curriculum and children called for creating a new resource, song, or story. For Teri certainly understood the power of creation and publication. This book, If You Hand a Child a Torah, was written with her confirmation class that included her son, Joey. Such a splendid example of what grew out of her creative classrooms. For these last few semesters, I've really missed getting her lesson plan in my mailbox. But her blog became my Sunday night bedtime story nonetheless. And now I will miss that too. I'm going to miss you and your lessons so much. I'll miss our times together after religious school and kids choir right here with Lisa. Some days it felt like none of us could lift ourselves back up off our very tired teaching circuses. But we did. And the best news is that her lessons live on. Her students, every single one of us, friends, family, and those of you who are actually lucky enough to sit in a classroom with her, will continue to hold her and her teachings up in love and light. Teri died on the 8th night of Hanukkah, when all of our Hanukkahs were burning at their absolute brightest. The 9th candle on the Hanukkah menorah is known and lovingly characterized in the Hawaiian Hanukkah song as the shamash, which means helper in Hebrew. The shamash sits slightly above the rest of the candles, and it shares its flame so that all can enjoy the brightness. What is a teacher other than an advocate, and what is an advocate other than a helper? Recent events have led us to recall the wisdom of another master teacher, Mr. Rogers, and what his mother taught him about chaos and tragedy and scary times, that you must look for the helpers. Indeed, Teri was a mother, friend, sister, daughter, teacher, advocate, and helper extraordinaire. And she left us with all her lessons after lighting every single candle available to her and to us. Her physical flame may have extinguished, but her light shines on. So the last face-to-face, real-time conversation I had with Teri was when she was in the hospital last, and Sam had gone to get some Starbucks, and I sat and held her hand, and she said to me how sorry she was that she wasn't going to get to teach my children. And I assured her I was very sorry about that as well, but I reminded her that she had already taught my children something very important. She taught them the pinky promise. And this was after I'd had some surgery, and she came over to bring some goodies and visited for a while, but knew she was going to have to leave. And she was worried because they were little and they were rambunctious, and so she took them aside. And she taught them how to pinky promise that they were going to be good to their mom and look after me. So, Teri, with your blessing, I'd like to invite everybody to make a pinky promise. Reach out. Come on, try it.
Oh, that's great.
Be playful and recognize how very fortunate we all are to have known such a splendid, splendid life. May we promise to take care of each other moving forward. In Teri's name, amen.
Teri enjoyed the most interesting and eclectic assortment of tunes on her iPod. She was always sharing with me, saying, listen to this one, listen to that one, and they were all over the place. And when we talked a little bit about what she might like for today, and we did talk about it from time to time, this song was on the list, and I figure you just can't go wrong with little James Taylor.
don't know Teri's brother Sam, and I'd like to introduce you to him at this time.
Kind of outnumbered by all the women. Typical Teri. And everybody spoke about what I was going to speak about, so I'm sort of lost now. I think the first thing I want to say is on behalf of our family, Ragutsons, Simons, Meermans, my grandparents who are reunited with Teri now, my grandpa Ray and my grandma Irene, and my wonderful grandma Millie and grandpa Benny Boy, and my parents, and my sister and her husband. We're really so thankful to all of you for being here. I'm going to ask everybody to close their eyes because they're damp and sore. And I want you to imagine candles, 8 of them in a row, all lit and glowing. For those of us of the Jewish faith, it's the Hanukkah menorah on its last night, fully aflame, the shamus having lit each of the candles so that the light is at its strongest. As Teri's children and Tammy and I held her close on Saturday night, comforting her during her final breaths, I don't think any of us realized, in fact, that it was the last night of Hanukkah. It wasn't until the next day when I received an email from a dear friend of mine in London, Patty, who wrote me with this message. Sam, always remember that Teri left us the last night of Hanukkah. This is amazing in itself. She completed all of the nights. The flame, the warmth, the light were at their brightest point when she left our world. When you light a candle with another one, you don't extend one. You make it bigger, larger, more important, more meaningful. The Hanukkah candles have a beautiful meaning that Teri will carry on to her new path. As we open our eyes now, let's try to keep that image of Teri's brightly shining light lit in our minds and our hearts. Everyone gathered here today knows and has been fortunate enough to have been touched by the friend, Teri Simon, the teacher, Miss Teri, the social worker, Miss Simon, the Aunt Teri, or Whooshy, and the wonderful mommy, Teri. But it really is only my sister Tammy and I who were the lucky ones to have known and been loved by the sister we call T. We lived half a century surrounded by her generous, caring ways, her creative wit, her compassion, and her true sweetness. I'd tell you a lot of funny stories and childhood antics and giggling fits and goofy games we played, but I wouldn't be telling you anything you don't already know yourselves, having been touched by Teri these past 25 years here in Nashville. Because what you all know about Teri is what we always knew growing up, is that she always put others first. No matter which T you knew and loved, there was one facet of this diamond of a human being, this bright candle of pure light, that was always present in any relationship she entered into. And just like that last candle on the last night of Hanukkah, she put others first. A couple of weeks ago, while I was lying with Teri at Vanderbilt, I thanked her for one of the thousands of times in my life when she put me first. It was the day before my 13th birthday, a snowy late afternoon in Canton, Ohio. We took our usual school bus ride home from school. Teri got out in front of me, and the next thing I knew, I was being dragged down the street because the bus driver had closed the door on my foot. I'm still here. For the next 30 or 40 seconds, I don't know, I remember looking up at the bus, wondering if it would run me over or if it would explode over me and how I was going to get loose from it. And then finally the bus stopped, the door opened, and my foot was released from the door. I stood up. I don't know how I did, but I did. I was stunned. I was unaware of what had just happened to me, really, and didn't know I had any injuries at all except for some bloodied hands. And all I heard was my sweet, usually quiet, 14-year-old sister using a list of expletives as the bus driver that God would really strike me down if I repeated it. And when I told Teri thank you in the hospital for protecting me and already showing what a fierce tiger mom she was going to grow up to be, she said to me, "Oh, you know that Steve Soldatus, he still can't forget that and was so worried about you that day." Always putting others first. There are so many similar stories to that, and I was never dragged by another vehicle, fortunately. But this will always be the T that I adore and was so fortunate to help care for these last 3 years. Protective over anyone she loved, putting others first. First and foremost, I know that T would want her cherished children to know that she's so fond and proud of you both, of all three of you. Really fond is the word to use, because she really liked you as much as she loved you. And she knows that you know how she feels. It meant so much to her to watch you flourish and thrive, to live, to learn, and to love. In our quiet moments together these past few months, she took great solace in the knowledge that her 3 kids were now amazing adults, conquering the world, spreading their own bright light, inherited from her, and always putting others first. I want to read a poem to you all as I close that I've unfortunately had to read a few times of late. The last time I had to read it, I shared it with Teri, and she really loved the poem, and she asked me to read it for Emily and Taylor and Joey. It was written in 1859 or 1870 by a man named Henry Scott Holland. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we still are. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference in your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the trace of a shadow in it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same that it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well.
Please join us for a few moments of silence. In just a moment, I'll invite you to please rise for the closing prayer of El Male Rachamim. And then once we do, I'll invite our pallbearers to come forward, Sam Cole and Joseph Simon, Michael Simon, and Edward Mader. And we'll journey together out to the cemetery for a graveside service. And then, on behalf of the family, I'd like to invite everybody to please come back to our social hall to visit and to begin the process of just sharing your memories and your stories with the family, with each other, and doing what we can to ensure that those lights continue to shine brightly. So at this time, please rise for the words of El Male Rachamim.
רחמים שוכן בהומי חמצי מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה עם קידושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמתך לעולמה בעל הרחמים יגדיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה אדוני הוא נחלתה וינוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר
Adonai, full of compassion, you dwell in the heights and in the depths. Grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence to Teri, our loved one who has entered eternity. Let her always find refuge forever in the shadow of your wings. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. For you, the everlasting God, are her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say together, Amen. The pallbearers would come forward at this time. I'll ask you to please allow first the pallbearers and then the family, and then we will follow.